Autotune has been more than just a great vocal production tool for quite a while now. It is now a cultural phenomenon. You can pull anybody off the street and ask them what Autotune is, and they'll be able to tell you, even if they're not a music producer or know anything about music production. There are plenty of options in the game right now, and Slate Digital just came out with a new plugin called Autotune a few weeks back, and it is also a vocal tuner as well. And it sounds fantastic. I've used Autotune for quite a while. Now I've been using Autotune since it came out, and there are pros and cons to both. So hopefully in this video, I can lay it out clearly, and we'll do a side-by-side comparison, and you are able to decide what you think sounds better at the end of this video, and let me know in the comments. But if you are just trying to get your vocals recorded and not even tuned yet, you're in luck, because I have a free guide that literally lays out everything that you need to know to recording vocals at home. It is called the Ultimate Guide to Recording Vocals at Home, and you can get it for free with the link in the description, because I'm thankful that you're here. I'm thankful that you're watching this video, and hopefully you get value out of this video, and I really hope you get value out of the Ultimate Guide to Recording Vocals at Home. Even if you've been recording vocals at home for quite a while, I'm willing to bet you're still gonna learn something in this guide. It took me weeks to craft, and hopefully you get value out of it. So get your free guide in the link in the description, and then come back and we'll finish this video. Hi, I'm Andrew Barr with Producing in the Box, where I teach you how to make incredible sounding music using nothing else but just a laptop. So let's get into it. Before we get into the tuning part of this video, I want to point out where I'm having my tuning lay in my vocal chain. So I use tuning at the very beginning of my vocal chain. I will use a graphical editor, and then I'll go into auto tuning here, and then I will do compression and de-essing and EQs and things like that. And the reason for that is you don't want to tune your effects. You want to tune your vocal and then add effects to the tuned vocal. It's pretty much an industry standard at this point. Everybody really tunes at the beginning of it. Even if they're adding some compression on the way in when they record, they will tune before they add anything else. First things first, I've noticed when I pull up these plugins is the interface difference. I've been using Autotune for quite a while now, and I really, really like it. But I've been using Autotune since its release, and I love it as well. And there are a lot of features that one has more than the other, and we'll get into that here in a second. But just off of the aesthetics alone in the interface, I just seem more drawn to Autotune just by the way it looks. So both of these plugins have similar features. You can pick a key here, and you can pick a key here. You are able to make your own key by selecting notes that the tuning is allowed to hit or not allowed to hit. And same thing down here. You just literally click on the notes. But one thing that Autotune has that Autotune Real-Time doesn't is Autotune can go faster than Autotune. And Autotune can go down to 0.1 milliseconds, and Autotune can go all the way up to -3 milliseconds. And it's pretty nuts. It gives a super robotic sounding effect. But to keep the comparison fair for now, I want to do a -1 millisecond here and a -1 millisecond here. So that way we can actually compare how the two sound one-on-one. And I think they sound identical, but let me know. So here, let's get into Autotune real quick, and let's take a listen to that.
100 billion creatures, catch your breath. 100 billion creatures, catch your breath.
And then now Autotune.
100 billion creatures, catch your breath. 100 billion.
They sound identical to me. I really don't hear a difference, but the settings are matched at the same spot. So why have I been drawn to Autotune more often than Autotune? Well, Autotune has a couple extra features that I've really started to use and really started to enjoy. Like, for example, the note stabilizer and the sustain knob here. These are pretty much exclusive just to Autotune. I haven't seen these in any other tuning plugin before. And what the note stabilizer does is you can select a couple presets here, and it will not correct notes shorter than 40 milliseconds, 80 milliseconds, or 200 milliseconds, depending on the selection that you choose here. And it takes away that robotic effect and makes it sound more natural. So, for example, when we get into here, hear that kind of like build up at the beginning. So what I can do is I can add this short 40 millisecond, don't correct any notes shorter than 40 milliseconds, and it'll take that away. Now take a listen.
100 billion creatures.
It took it almost all away. If I want to take a little bit more, I can actually go up to the mid setting here and almost have like a straight up jump between these two notes.
100 billion creatures catch your breath. 100
versus none.
100.
See how it kind of like
100
versus
100 billion creatures catch your breath.
Yeah, that feature alone has been pushing more and more towards Metatune. But now there's this other feature that they have in here called the sustain knob. And what this does is when somebody holds out a note, you're able to turn the speed down versus how far they push the sustain out. So if they get some vibrato at the end of a note, you are able to turn the speed down so that way you're not getting that flutter effect and make it sound more natural. This is really the automatic tuner for a person who wants natural sounding vocals. Now you can get that robotic slammed effect, and we will here in a second, but this is what I've been drawn to recently. So to get that natural sound. So let's mess around with that. Let's see if we can get a natural sounding tuning with this plugin. So here is the note stabilizer to a mid setting, and the sustain knob down about 72%, and the speed at 17.5.
100 billion creatures catch your breath. 100 billion.
Let's listen to it in the context of the mix.
100 billion creatures catch your breath. Evolving in pursuit of what you said.
Pretty cool. It sounds really, really tight. I mean, you can tell it's tuned, but it doesn't sound like it's overly tuned. And we can adjust this down, or we can even adjust the amount of how hard it's tuning in general. But there's another feature that this plugin has that Waves Tune Real Time just didn't, and that's another reason why I've been brought to Metatune, and that is the doubler. At first, I was a little hesitant. I kind of thought it was an afterthought, but the more I've been using it, the more I've been realizing it is one of the best doubler effects that I have access to right now. It sounds incredible.
100 billion creatures catch your breath. 100 billion creatures catch your breath.
So what this little knob does is there's a dry and wet signal here, and then there is a doubler width, and you can kind of drag this around anywhere and get that sound. So what I've been liking is putting the doubler width at 100% and then just dragging this knob up and down, the dry wet knob, and messing around with how much actually sounds good. So let's take a listen here.
100 billion creatures catch your breath. 100 billion creatures catch your breath. 100 billion creatures catch your breath. 100.
About 31% sounds really, really good. And let's listen to that in the context of the mix. And we're going to turn this on and off and take a listen here. So
100 billion creatures catch your breath.
Now it's off.
100 billion creatures catch your breath. 100 billion creatures catch your breath.
Wow. Okay, so let's listen to just the vocals with this, because I mean, it just adds another layer in there, almost like we were adding a couple other takes. Sounds really good. So with it off at first.
100 billion creatures catch your breath.
With it on.
100 billion creatures catch your breath. 100 billion creatures catch your breath. 100 billion creatures catch your breath.
Wow, it sounds really, really good. I've been using this doubler effect for quite a while now, pretty much since its release, and I've really, really, really been loving it. So now there's one other feature that has drawn me to Metatune a little bit more than Waves Tune Real Time, and that is the speed of -3 milliseconds. And let's bring this back up to 0. You can get a really, really, really hard robotically sounding tuning from this plugin. And it sounds like this.
100 billion creatures catch your breath. 100 billion creatures.
Here, let's turn the note stabler down to none, so that way we're really hearing that Flutter.
100 billion creatures, catch your breath. 100 billion creatures, catch your breath.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane. I really don't see a need where I would push it that far. But I have definitely pushed this plugin to 0.
100 billion.
With the mid setting here, and then using these as other layers underneath the main vocal can really tighten up the background vocals.
100 billion creatures, catch your breath. 100 billion creatures, catch your breath.
All right, so that's pretty much it for the differences in these plugins. I mean, there's a few other features where you can group the plugins of Metatune. So if you have multiple instances of Metatune, you can add them to a group and you can make changes to one, and it makes changes to all of the other instances of Metatune in your project. But as a side-by-side comparison, in my opinion, they sound identical with the identical settings. There's just more settings and more options with the Metatune. A couple things I'm wishing they would have added is a throat adjustment tool like Intera's Autotune. But that's neither here nor there because I also use other tools like Vocal Bender from Waves, which sounds incredible as well. So I'm really impressed with Metatune, and I'm really impressed with Wavestune as well. And I've used Wavestune for a long time, and now I think for me the cake is Metatune, and it has been something that I've used since its release a couple weeks ago. So hopefully I was able to clear things out for you. On whether Wavestune versus Metatune, and hopefully you're able to make a decision on what's best for you. With the same settings, in my opinion, they sound identical. I just like the extra features that I get from Metatune versus anything else. So with that being said, thank you for watching the video. Subscribe and click that little notifications bell because I post videos every Wednesday, but I also sprinkle some in here and there throughout the week to kind of keep things interesting. So thank you for watching. Thank you for making it to the end of the video, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.